A warm welcome once again to Business Life, and government is in the process of securing $2 billion loan from China to tackle the country's road infrastructure deficit. This is according to President Akufo-Addo. And Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, has arranged more than $4.5 billion in debt financing for his Nigerian oil refinery project that aims to start production early 2020. Up next is the news summaries.
Government is in the process of securing a $2 billion loan from China to tackle the country's road infrastructure deficit. President Akufo-Addo made the announcement when he paid a courtesy call on the overlord of the Wala traditional area as part of a 2-day visit to the Upper West region to evaluate projects and interact with the people. He said the Wabulenga Road, which will link to the proposed Northeast region, has been identified among other important road networks that will open up economic activities and bring relief to the people. The Bank of Ghana has completed the development of a portal which will enable financial institutions submit same data to all credit bureaus at the same time or period. This portal will eliminate challenges like difficulty in connecting to credit bureau platforms with different interfaces, passwords and protocols for data submission, inconsistent and multiple error logs received from credit bureaus, and time and data bandwidth consumption. The new portal is anticipated to go live by the end of July 2018. The Trump administration has unveiled a $12 billion plan aimed at helping U.S. farmers hit by the intensifying trade war. The aid is intended to protect the industry as countries raise taxes on U.S. products such as soybeans in response to the president's new tariffs. The U.S. plans to provide subsidies to farmers and buy unsold crops, among other measures. Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, has arranged more than $4.5 billion in debt financing for his Nigeria oil refinery project and aims to start production in early 2020. Dangote, who built his fortune in cement, is building the world's largest single oil refinery with capacity of 650,000 barrels per day to help reduce Nigeria's dependence on imported petroleum. Despite being a crude oil exporter, Nigeria imports the bulk of its petroleum because of a lack of domestic refining capacity.
So those were our summaries for the day. Good news, Aliko Dangote, do you know him?
Oh, who doesn't know Aliko Dangote?
He's spreading his word beautifully.
Yeah, and it looks like he's unstoppable. What would you do if you had like a tenth of what he has?
I'll think about it and give you an answer later. But you remember that big, lavish wedding?
Yeah, that was the talk of town. I had Bill Gates there as well.
I know, right?
We go on and on if we have to talk about Aliko Dangote. But I want to switch to today's main stories. It used to be the main source of transportation for cocoa and mining communities in the past, but that is no longer the case. I'm talking about the railway sector, which leaves much to be desired. Now, in recent times, people have described it as dead, but government says it is injecting some $7.8 million for immediate development of a fast train service across the country. Karen Dodu has more.
The Ghana railway system has been in existence since the year 1898 and was managed by the Ghana Railway Authority then. Years back, trains in Ghana were mainly known for transportation from mining areas to market centers. It was an essential means of transportation, conveying produce mainly from the mining communities in the western region. Takwa to Pristia is a branch line on the western division that used to service the manganese mines, while Dunkwa to Awaso line served bauxite mines. Achiasi to Kade on the central division, on the other hand, was used to service timber companies and for the transportation of cocoa. Although the rail has been a major source of transportation for farming and mining communities in the past, the sector is yet to get a facelift. The current state of the rail sector can best be described as sorry.
The importance of a well-run railway sector to the economy cannot be overstated. An effectively run railway sector in Ghana will contribute to economic growth by significantly lowering the cost and time for moving goods and people, and by extension, ensuring economies of scale and reducing domestic production costs.
As part of measures to transform the sector, government says it has embarked on a transformation agenda. For the next 2 years, the Railway Development Ministry says it would build a modern railway network from the south to northern Ghana with associated infrastructure. Government's master plan for the railway sector entails the construction of about 1,300 kilometers of new railway network across the country. The revamped plan has been divided into 6 stages, mainly the rehabilitation, expansion, and Trans-ECOWAS expansion phase.
Well, from the railway sector to cocoa, and cocoa buying company PBC is resorting to raise funds from the International Financial Services to support its operations, having recorded losses in the past 5 years. Now, Chief Executive of the company, Kofi Owusu-Boateng, disclosed the company has begun efforts at getting some capital injection from investors. There's more in the following report.
The persistent, unimpressive performance of the company is attributed to the inability of the majority shareholders, that is the Ministry of Finance and the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT, to inject more working capital to PBC for them to be able to purchase cocoa. For more than 3 years, the company has not been able to pay dividends to shareholders as a result of losses recorded in its financial report. According to Chief Executive Officer Kofi Owusu-Boateng, the company must be able to raise funds to purchase cocoa for the next season.
Inadequate funding. You see, we don't have enough money to buy cocoa. And also, there are some other also natural phenomena. You see, because for instance, when you talk about the shareners, as I was talking about, we bought the shareners, the machines were not working. The shareners have to be there, and they are perishable products. So for a long time, but we are not using them. They got rotten. We had to sell them, we had to reduce the prices. So this constituted a lot of loss too.
PBC recorded a net loss of 22.44 million Ghana cedis for the year 2017. The Chief Executive Officer therefore assured the company is taking steps to reduce its cost operations.
Cutting down administrative costs. And as I said, we have started implementing the assessing measures we have taken, reducing medicals, reducing fuel consumption, and so many administrative issues which otherwise had showed up the cost of running the offices. So we've tried to cut down on, rationalize the use of electricity and others, those areas which normally tend to show up the cost of running the.
Some shareholders have, however, called for a restructuring of the company and a diversification plan to turn around the once vibrant cocoa buying firm. Ebenezer Sabote's report for Joy Business.
Now, the Ministry of Finance says it has put together fresh regulation to implement tax compliance. Deputy Minister Kweku Kwateng is urging Ghanaians to take advantage of the current amnesty, adding that government will be tough on evaders.
But already we've seen the announcement of NPA getting tough on some companies for tax evasion. Are we going to see more of this, and the result is getting tough on evaders?
We would use whatever the law allows, because we have come to a point where, as a country, if we want to improve the situation of our people and finance government commitment to the people of this country, then we need to mobilize revenue. As you would see in this tax measures, we sought to target high-income earners in order not to burden the poor. But beyond that, our strategy is more to keep taxes to the minimum and to expand compliance and ensure that people required to pay taxes indeed do pay taxes. So compliance, it's going to be a big one going forward. And I respectfully appeal to Ghanaians and all those viewing or listening to us today to note that it is in their interest to take advantage of the amnesty and to clear all past liabilities, but more importantly, that going forward, there ought not to be any reason for evading tax or avoiding a tax in a way that is unlawful. So my conclusion is that compliance will be big, and I urge Ghanaians to support us as we seek to improve revenue mobilization in this country.
You're watching Business Live. We're taking a short break. When we come back, Sandy is going to be talking money matters with Philip Namfuri.
You're still watching Business Live, and we're doing something different for the main story today. And interest rates are always a topical issue that are brought onto the discussion table anytime the rate of loans are high. Banks and other financial institutions in the country are always scouting around town and wooing people to deposit with them. But after that, when you're going for loan, the interest on that loan, let me just say, is nothing to talk about. But your deposit receives something much, much less. That's what we'll be talking about. Let's look at this data, how the interest rate on your deposit fares. So if you look at this data, I said for the first 3 months, it's 12.75% per annum. That's as of June 2018. And then the 6 month is 13.25%. Per annum as of June 2013 as well. And then when we go to the credit markets, average lending rate is 27.5% per annum, quite higher than what you're receiving on your deposit. So it's quite interesting and mind-boggling what you receive on your money. Philip,
Sandra,
this is quite interesting.
Indeed it is. I mean, to the layman, to the common man, someone who's not very well versed in finance, it seems like the banks are cheating us. But what you just read, like the 3 months and 6 months, these are fixed deposits, or what the Bank of Ghana calls time deposits. That's a very technical word. But when you go to a bank, these are fixed deposits. So they give you your 3 months and they give you your 6 months. And these are the rates on them, the average rates. So they put together all the banks in the country and they strike an average. But if you look at savings deposits, for example, I have an account, it's a savings account. The interest on it is about 7.55% on the average.
Low.
Very low.
Yes.
Yet you go for a loan, they're telling you 30%.
Charlie.
And these banks are coming around with so many forms, a plethora of forms. Write little things and fill where you live, draw your map. Then you go for this pittance, if I can say so.
I think in the heat of the moment, when you're going for loan, you don't really pause to look at what it entails, because you need the money after all. So you go for the money and you don't know how much you're even going to pay on it at the end of the day. Is this something we should critically look at?
Yeah, we should critically look at it. But let me just say this. There are two simple things. Banks make money from what they call interest rate spreads, the difference between lending rates and rates on deposits. So if your rates on deposits are high, there is no way they are going to lend to you at a low rate. But then there's a critical problem. We have certain problems in our economy that add on to the cost of
And what are
loans.
those problems?
So for example, non-performing loans. If a bank records high non-performing loans, in the following year, it's going to add this cost to its lending
but
rates.
that brings the, that brings the question as to why are loans not performing? A lot of people have argued that the rates are higher, so people are defaulting. So if the rate is not high, I'll be willing to pay my loan.
You see, if you look at the rates, let me go back to 2017, coming down to where we are now, 2018. Rates have come down, but it's March now. If you look at the data from the Bank of Ghana, I mean, it's gone a bit down. Some say it's still high, but there was a problem with the way interest rates were calculated in the past, and that's what's called the base rate. At that time, banks were factoring in so many things. So for example, if a new bank comes to Ghana right now, their cost of operations is going to be very high. They're going to buy the flashy Hondas and Toyotas we see them riding in. They're going to buy computers, office buildings. It's all going to add to the loans, to the cost of the rates.
But my money is still going to them.
Yes, but I mean, there's something we call cost of transactions. You take your money to a bank because you're looking for something on it. And banks are not supposed to give you abnormal rates. They're supposed to gather the money, lend it to you, and make a spread. Because, look, Sandra, from a businessman's perspective, they're running the business. They're not here to give you
And my
free
money is also giving them business because it's my money that is invested. And so why should I receive less on it? And then when I'm coming for a facility from you, I still have to pay more.
Because they're taking care of the cost you would have incurred. Are you telling me sitting here right now, nobody owes you any money? Somebody owes me 1,000 Ghana.
I can keep it in my susu box.
No, somebody owes me a lot of money. So if you look at it critically, the cost of transaction of you going around to look for somebody to borrow your money or to lend to, the banks take care of that cost and they add something to it and they say, you know what, we are wearing nice suits. Give us your money. We'll look for somebody who wants to borrow it and we'll give you something on it. And
so you want to say what we are paying, it's okay, we shouldn't worry about it?
If the banks are going to give us high rates on deposits, they are certainly going to give us high rates on loans.
Not too high, but something, that we can be happy about.
Okay, for example, there are some institutions, if you go to some of these non-bank financial institutions, the MBFIs, they give you deposits they take your deposits at high as 18, 19%. Sandra, the person who's come to borrow this money, he's dying somewhere.
I see.
So we need to, understand this critically. They take the money at low rates. There's a chance that all things being equal, they will lend to you at a lower rate, all things being equal. So I think it's a good
Thank you very much, Philip Namfuri. A very insightful discussion. I hope in the coming days we'll be talking about it because I still don't get it. But let's move on to businessman. And a business partnership gone bad pushed him to start his own savings and loans company. Sedem Apenyo says it's not only about the money, but the fact that his company can help several small-scale businesses in his community. But the most intriguing thing concerning his business, he adds, is the rate at which he's called to solve every problem, including marital issues. Let's go for the businessman.
Here at Kontonse, the cash cow is already being milked. Sedem Apenyo, CEO of Cash Cow, upon seeing the plight of pupils in the public school, is already solving a problem by providing 50 free desks. At the school, pupils from 3 classes are boxed together in a dusty makeshift structure, sitting on dual desks meant for 2 people in 3s and 4s. There's no way pupils won't copy.
On your way, don't copy.
I walk around sometimes to pick a stroll, and one day I walked past the school. I happened to get into the classrooms and I realized, is this a classroom or a playground? Because you enter the place, you see 1 chair, 2 or 3 desks around. So I was wondering why this. I happened to talk to the assemblywoman, and she actually told me that what I actually saw was a classroom, and that's the school is suffering from infrastructural issues, so they need help, and that is what has led to my donation of this desk to the community.
You were telling me that, sometimes when you have conversations with the headmaster, he tells you some very interesting things, if you can re-echo them. What are some of the things the headmaster has been telling you about this school?
Well, he's been telling me that, one, when you bring your ward here to be admitted into the school, the first thing they will have to tell you is to provide your own chair or a desk, because they don't have.
Sedem fell out with a business partner and started this business on his own with 10,000 cedis.
I was once in this business. We had a court case that did not go too well, so myself and my partner had to split, and that is what led me to start Cash Cow. At the point I came back home thinking I won't get myself involved in this again, because I felt the legal system was a bit porous, if I should put it. You go to court, a case will last about 2 or 3 years. Your money is locked up there, and if you're not careful, you'll go down with your money.
So far, he has a capital of more than 500,000 cedis and impacting several businesses. This food joint was built by Cash Cow for a client who had migrated from the northern region. According to Sedem Apenyo, the vendor currently operates 2 places. At the shop of the biggest designer in Amasamang, the footprints of Cash Cow is evident.
I think I know her personally. She actually sold for my mom, and even sold for my wife.
Wow.
So I have known her for some time now. So when she approached me, looking at the number of workers she has, She told me she needed some machines because when she sold, she has to take some of the things somewhere to do the knitting and some other things. But this time around, she wants to acquire her own machine so that she can do everything here.
That's right.
More or less, we look like a one-stop shop. You come here, everything is done here for you. Okay. So when she came, the field officer was here to assess her. What's the report?
The next business that has benefited enormously is the school. From KG2, loans from Cash Cow has helped them build the structure up to JHS2. Sedem Apenyo of Cash Cow is worried several microcredit and finance companies serving their communities will be priced out if the minimum capital requirement is increased from the current 500,000 Ghana cedis to 2 million cedis.
We're been asked to raise 2 million Ghana cedis as our stated capital now. Yes, and someone like me, with where I operate, I don't even need up to 500,000 to do what I'm doing because the kind of loans I advance to my clients, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, maximum 4,000, 5,000. The clients I give up to 10,000 to 20,000, I can count them. Majority of them take below 5,000. So if I have 2 million cedis sitting in my account, a lot of that money will be seated
doing nothing.
Yeah.
The business is virtually solving so many community needs, and guess what? Marital problems too.
Everybody in the community. People come with issues, school fees, even people come with their marital issues to come and speak to me about their husbands misbehaving or their wives misbehaving because they know that either the wife is taking a loan from here or the husband is taking a loan from here. So at least when they come to me and I either call the man or the woman, they know he or she will come. Exactly, exactly. So,
because you have the money power.
Exactly.
Well, that was Business Van, quite insightful, and it's always a pleasure watching young people touching lives in their communities. And Cash Cow, kudos to you, Daryl.
Yeah, the money lender marriage counselor.
I know, right?
Looks
and
like
I like the name, Cash Cow.
Cash Cow. It looks like so many people look up to him within the community. Great story of Sedem Apenyo there. Sounds like Afenu.
Yeah, but he's Apenyo.
I hear you. Well, I mean, if you've been listening to our reports every day, we talk about GDP almost every day. What is GDP?
Well, we hit the street to find out.
So day in, day out, we hear basic business terminologies being used, especially during the budget. We hear words like inflation rate, interest rate, GDP, and what have you. To the ordinary Ghanaian, what do they really mean? Today, we are out there asking the public the understanding of GDP.
It's about growth. The level, the rate that we are growing as a nation, either we are growing negatively or positively. That's the meaning of GDP.
But
what's it then?
GDP just means maybe gross domestic product, how things are rising, prices are rising on the economy.
I don't see any ordinary Ghanaian do understand the word GDP. Do you get me? But they do understand that government is going to read the budget, and always their mindset is that they are going to increase prices.
Domestic product.
Gross domestic product.
Okay. Do you know anything about it?
Oh no, please.
Oh, I didn't
It measures the total products produced in a country in a year. Yes, in a country, irrespective of the nationality of the persons in the nation.
Yeah, I don't know GDP. I don't know.
But that means
GDP, gross developmental program.
No, I really think Sandy's
program.
That old lady,
why
did
GDP?
you?
What's
I
GDP?
mean, the guy in the spectacles with the red tie, he got it. It's the total value of goods and services produced in a year.
But not gross developmental project.
She's mean. That's it for Business Live. Thanks for watching. As always, a pleasure being with you. My name is Daryl Kwao.
My name is Sandra. And I'm going to see you tomorrow. We'll be right here.